Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English with Podcasts. This is your favorite cozy spot to relax, listen, and master real-world English through natural, everyday conversations. I am Emma.
And I am Leo. Welcome back to our wonderful listeners tuning in from every corner of the world. Emma, before we jump into today's topic, can I start with a quick confession?
Oh, you know I love our warm-up confessions. What happened, Leo?
Last week, I cooked a special homemade dinner for an American friend. After he finished eating, I asked him how it was, and he smiled and said, "Not bad."
Oh, no, Leo. Let me guess. You felt disappointed because your dictionary says not bad means mediocre or below average?
Exactly. I thought he was just being polite and secretly hated my cooking, but then he ate a second giant plateful.
That is the ultimate dictionary trap. In native English, saying something is not bad actually means it is really good.
That completely blew my mind, and it made me realize how often traditional dictionaries mislead language learners.
You are so right, Leo. Traditional dictionaries give us the strict grammatical definitions, but they ignore culture. English is famous for social subtext, politeness filters, and dramatic understatements. Words rarely mean what the dictionary claims.
Why do native speakers do this, Emma? Why don't they just say what they mean directly?
That is a great question. English-speaking cultures often prioritize indirect politeness over direct confrontation. Saying I hate your idea feels too aggressive, so people soft-wrap their true feelings inside gentle words.
Wow, so if you take those gentle words literally, you miss the entire message.
Exactly. Today, we are unlocking that secret code. We are exploring 10 common words where dictionary definitions completely fail us in daily conversation.
Plus, we have quick micro role plays, real-world native reaction breakdowns, a master catch-up story, our structured review matrix, and our vocabulary word walk.
I am so excited for this. What is our very first dictionary secret, Leo?
Word number 1 is one of the most dangerous words in the English language, fine.
Dangerous? But my dictionary says fine means satisfactory, high quality, or good.
On paper, yes, but when a native speaker responds with a flat tone, crossed arms, and says, "It's fine," what do they actually mean?
Let me guess. Does it mean they are totally happy and content?
Not at all. It usually means, I am unhappy or annoyed, but I choose not to discuss it with you right now.
Wow, so it is a form of subtle passive resistance. For example, I asked my sister if she was upset, and she just said, "I'm fine."
Exactly. Notice how body language and tone change the entire word. If someone smiles brightly and says, "That's fine," it is positive, but a flat monotone, "It's fine," is a red flag.
Let's demonstrate both sides in a quick double micro role play. First, the dictionary version.
Hey Emma, how is your new apartment?
Oh, it's fine. It's super spacious and sunny.
Great. Now let's do the native subtext version.
Hey Leo, I changed our movie time from 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. Is that okay with you?
Yeah, it's fine.
Oh boy, that flat tone tells me it is definitely not fine. See how tone changes everything?
That was so clear. Native speakers use fine to hide frustration politely.
Spot on. What is word number 2 on our list, Leo?
Word number 2 is a classic social trap. Interesting.
The dictionary definition says interesting means engaging, stimulating, or holding your attention.
But when someone looks at your bright new outfit or listens to your wild business idea and says, that's interesting.
Ooh, guessing time. Does it mean they are blown away by how amazing it is?
Usually the exact opposite. It often means that is strange, awkward, or I don't know how to react without being rude.
Exactly. It buys them time because they don't want to say I don't like it directly to your face.
That is so true. Native speakers drop their voice and pause right before saying it. Interesting.
Let's do a micro role play for this one.
Okay, Emma, look at this neon yellow business suit I bought for my corporate job interview.
Wow, Leo, that is very interesting.
That awkward pause before interesting said everything.
It really did. You knew instantly that I thought the suit was a terrible idea for a job interview.
That was hilarious. What about phrase number 3?
Phrase number 3 is, I'll think about it.
The dictionary says this means actively analyzing options to make a thoughtful decision.
But in native conversational English, when a friend, coworker, or salesperson asks you something and you say, I'll think about it, what is the real answer?
Is it a soft, polite way of saying no?
Bingo. 90% of the time, I'll think about it means no, but I don't want to hurt your feelings right now.
It completely avoids direct conflict. If you ask a native speaker to buy something or join an activity and they say, "I'll think about it," you shouldn't keep pushing them.
Exactly. If they were genuinely considering it, they would ask follow-up questions like, how much does it cost? Or when is it?
Let's show our listeners how this plays out in real life.
Hey, Leo, do you want to run a 20-mile weekend marathon with me at 5 a.m. this Sunday?
Oh, wow, Emma, that sounds intense. I'll think about it.
And scene. Translation, Leo is definitely sleeping in on Sunday.
You won't see me at 5 a.m. Phrase number 4 is something you hear at the end of almost every social encounter. We should catch up.
Dictionary meaning, let us organize a meeting soon to discuss recent news and life updates.
But in daily life, when an old classmate or acquaintance bumps into you on the street and says, we should catch up sometime.
Guessing time, does it mean they are pulling out their smartphone to set a date right now?
Almost never. It is simply a polite, friendly closing statement. It means, I wish you well, but I have no concrete plans to meet.
Oh, I used to get so confused by this when I moved to an English-speaking country. I would sit by my phone waiting for their text.
What is the secret clue here, Emma? How do we know if someone actually wants to catch up?
Specificity. If they say, are you free this Thursday for coffee? They mean it. If they say, we should catch up sometime, it's just a warm goodbye.
Let's do a quick street encounter roleplay.
Oh, hey, Lino, it's been years. It is so great seeing you.
Great seeing you too, Emma. We should definitely catch up sometime.
Bye. Bye. And scene. Notice how neither of us picked a day, time, or location.
Exactly. We just kept walking. Now, let's revisit my opening secret. Phrase number 5. Not bad.
The dictionary says not bad means poor, below average, or barely acceptable.
But native speakers, especially in the UK, Australia, Canada, and North America, use it as a major compliment.
If someone says that presentation was not bad at all, they mean it was surprisingly good or impressive.
Why do native speakers love understatement so much?
It stems from cultural modesty. In many English-speaking cultures, overhyping something can feel fake or arrogant. Understatement feels humble and grounded.
Let's do a restaurant micro roleplay for this one.
How is that homemade pasta I cooked for you, Leo?
Honestly, Emma, not bad. Not bad at all.
Thank you. That means it is absolutely delicious.
That leads us right into phrase number 6, a bit.
The dictionary definition says a bit means a small, tiny, or insignificant quantity.
But when native speakers say, I'm a bit tired, or that car is a bit expensive,
What does it actually mean, Leo?
does it mean extremely tired or insanely expensive?
Exactly. Native speakers use a bit to soften massive statements. It often means a very significant amount.
Wow, so if someone says it's a bit chilly outside during a winter blizzard,
It means it is freezing cold. In business, this is very common when giving bad news softly.
let's practice a quick office scene.
Hey, Leo, how is the new software development timeline looking?
Well, Emma, we are running a bit behind schedule, about 4 weeks behind.
4 weeks? That is definitely more than a bit.
See how I used a bit to cushion the shock for my manager?
Exactly. Word number 7 is a classic grammatical trap. Could you?
Dictionary explanation, asking if someone has the physical capability or ability to perform an action.
But when your boss, colleague, or friend says, could you send me that report?
Are they asking about your physical abilities?
Not at all. It is a polite, indirect command. It means, please do this right now.
If you reply with, yes, I am physically able to, and then walk away, people will think you are being sarcastic or stubborn.
Exactly. In English, indirect requests are considered far more polite than direct orders, like send me the report.
Let's do a quick micro roleplay to show how smooth it works.
Leo, could you pass me the salt from across the table?
Here you go, Emma.
Perfect. Notice Leo didn't answer with, yes, my arm works. He just handed me the salt.
That brings us to phrase number 8, I might.
Dictionary meaning, expressing a 50-50 possibility or genuine uncertainty.
But in social invitations, when someone responds with, I might come,
What is the real probability, Leo? Is it 50%?
it is usually about 10%. I might is often a gentle, non-confrontational refusal.
It means I probably won't come, but I don't want to say no right now and disappoint you.
Language learners often get confused because they keep waiting for the person to arrive.
Let's show an invitation roleplay.
Hey Emma, a bunch of us are going to late night karaoke tonight at 11 p.m. Are you coming?
Oh, karaoke. Sounds fun. I might drop by.
Translation, Emma is going home to wear comfortable pajamas and watch TV.
Guilty as charged. 11 p.m. is far too late for me on a weekday.
Word number 9 is everywhere on social media and TV, literally.
The strict dictionary definition, in a literal manner, exactly as stated, without exaggeration.
But native speakers constantly use literally to mean the exact opposite.
They use it for pure dramatic emphasis, even when something is totally figurative.
Exactly. For example, I was literally dying of laughter.
Nobody was actually dying. Their heart was still beating normally.
Traditional grammar teachers hate this, but language evolves. In fact, modern dictionaries now list this dynamic figurative meaning because people use it so frequently.
Let's show how native speakers use this in daily chat.
How is the morning highway traffic, Emma?
Oh my goodness, Leo, I was literally stuck in traffic for 1,000,000 years.
1,000,000 years? You look fantastic for your age, Emma.
Thank you. And our 10th dictionary secret is the word honestly.
Dictionary definition, speaking with complete truthfulness and sincerity.
But when a native speaker starts a sentence with honestly, what is happening?
Ooh, let me guess. Does it signal that an uncomfortable opinion or criticism is coming?
Yes, it serves as a mental cushion. It means prepare yourself. I am about to say something you might not want to hear.
That is such a subtle conversational signal. If someone says, honestly, I think you should redo that, they are trying to break hard news gently.
Let's practice a quick office design roleplay.
Emma, what do you think of my idea to paint our entire office bright neon pink?
Honestly, Leo, I don't think the team would be very productive in a neon pink room.
Ouch, but thank you for the honest cushion.
Now, let's put all 10 dictionary secrets into one continuous master roleplay.
Listen carefully, everyone. See if you can spot all 10 hidden native meanings as Emma and I discuss a stressful workday.
Hey, Leo, how was your huge project presentation with the executive board today?
Oh, Emma, it was fine. Just fine.
Oh dear, that flat tone. Did the executive directors think your slides were bad?
Well, the regional manager looked at my proposal and said it was interesting.
Yikes. Interesting is never a good sign in the high-stakes business meeting.
Exactly. Then I asked if they wanted to approve the new budget today, and he said, I'll think about it.
Oh no, that means the budget is literally dead in the water.
I know, I was a bit disappointed. Okay, honestly, I was furious.
Could you sit down and take a breath, Leo? You have been working so hard lately.
Thanks, Emma. As the manager walked out, he smiled and said, we should catch up next month.
Wow, so no follow-up meeting planned at all. Are you coming to the team dinner tonight to relax?
I might come, but my energy is completely drained.
Well, at least you survived the presentation. That's not bad for a stressful Tuesday.
True, and seen. Look at how every single word had a hidden native meaning.
That master roleplay brought it all together. Now, let me lock every concept into place with our review matrix.
We will alternate line by line, comparing the dictionary definition with the true native meaning.
Fine. Dictionary, satisfactory or good. Native meaning, unhappy or annoyed, but hiding it.
Interesting. Dictionary, engaging or stimulating. Native meaning, awkward, strange, or unappealing.
I'll think about it. Dictionary, considering options carefully. Native meaning, a polite way of saying no.
We should catch up. Dictionary, planning to meet soon. Native meaning, a polite goodbye with no real plan.
Not bad. Dictionary, below average. Native meaning, actually quite good or impressive.
A bit. Dictionary, a small amount. Native meaning, often a very large or significant amount.
Could you? Dictionary, asking about physical ability. Native meaning, a polite command to do something.
I might. Dictionary, a 50-50 possibility. Native meaning, a soft refusal or probably not.
Literally. Dictionary, exactly true without exaggeration. Native meaning, dramatic emphasis for figurative statements.
Honestly. Dictionary, speaking truth. Native meaning, signaling an uncomfortable opinion is coming.
Outstanding! Now let's move into our word walk section, where we analyze 5 key target vocabulary words from today's lesson.
Term number 1, subtext, the underlying or hidden meaning in a conversation that is not stated directly.
Example, to understand native English, you have to read the subtext behind their polite words.
Term number 2, understatement, presenting something as smaller, worse, or less important than it actually is.
Example, calling a Category 5 hurricane a bit windy is a massive understatement.
Term number 3, passive-aggressive, expressing negative feelings indirectly rather than addressing them openly.
Example, saying it's fine with rolled eyes is classic passive-aggressive behavior.
Term number 4, figurative,
using words in a metaphorical or dramatic sense rather than their strict literal meaning.
Example, when I say I am starving, I am using figurative language to say I am very hungry.
Term number 5, non-confrontational, tending to avoid conflict, disagreement, or direct arguments with others.
Example, saying I'll think about it is a non-confrontational way to reject an offer.
What a powerful set of tools to elevate your conversational fluency.
Now it is time for today's listener challenge.
Choose one word or phrase from today's lesson, like not bad or I'll think about it, and write a short dialogue showing its true native meaning in the comments below.
We read and reply to your comments every single week, so get practicing.
If you loved today's episode, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share it with a friend.
Keep listening, keep learning, and remember,
Real English lives between the lines.
see you in the next episode of English with Podcasts. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye, everyone.